Welfare agencies in Western Australia are warning that the state's booming economy and high cost of living are putting increasing numbers of people at risk of homelessness. Those on the front line say many people, even with full-time jobs, are now struggling to make ends meet. A promised federal package of funds and resources to drastically reduce homelessness is gradually being rolled out nationwide, and those in charge are pleading for patience. Danielle Parry reports.
The West is home to some of Australia's richest companies, but every night of the year the Red Cross drives the streets of Perth, feeding those left behind in the mining boom.
They say we're a rich country, but there's a lot of people battling here.
We're the most affluent of all the states in Australia, and yet, there's people right now that are needing our services, and it shouldn't happen.
There's an apple in the bread anyway.
The last census revealed more than 100,000 Australians have no place to call home each night. Kevin Rudd made the issue a priority for his government, and in 2008 set a target of halving homelessness by 2020.
It's time we had a decent solution for this problem, which has been around for a long time.
But since then, the global financial crisis and persistently high rental prices have seen the problem deteriorate.
The situation probably has got a little worse. There are high cost of living pressures and the private rental market is almost impossible for people on lower incomes.
Right, so we have a sit down?
Yeah.
Good.
Dr Paul Flatto is Associate Professor of Community Planning at Murdoch University and believes the key to tackling the problem is knowing exactly who is homeless and why.
The study that we're currently doing is one of the most important studies on homelessness because it is so large.
His landmark study of 600 homeless or at-risk people shows almost three-quarters first went without a permanent roof over their head before they were 18, and nearly half did before they were 12, sometimes with their parents and sometimes alone.
Around about half of the adults who are receiving support from homelessness agencies report that one or more of their parents were homeless. We also have seen that many of those who are homeless now as adults first left home at an early age.
How's your week been? Busy.
Bev and John Lowe have been on the front line of breaking the homelessness cycle in the West for more than a decade. With the help of volunteers, they cook hundreds of hot meals each week for those on the street. They also distribute donated food to people struggling in their own homes.
Okay, guys.
We're helping over 100 families on a regular basis. We have pensioners who cry when you go there because they can't remember when they had so much food in their pantry. But do you want the Eskies in first, love?
Yes.
The Lowe's charity work started 14 years ago when they saw a group of cold, hungry homeless people in a city park. The former farmers went home and made them some soup and have since dedicated their retirement to feeding the needy.
There are so many families who are hurting. They cannot afford to pay their bills. They come to us and they say we don't know what to pay next because the money just won't go around enough.
Awesome!
Leonie is a public housing tenant with 7 children who relies on the Lowe's help to stay afloat.
If I was to get into trouble, I'd get evicted and I'd be on the streets.
All right, see you later.
Many private rentals are so expensive in Perth that even people with full-time jobs are now reluctantly seeking help from charities.
There's a number of people who just can't make their mortgage payments anymore, and people are living on rice and spaghetti and not much more.
Well, there is, if you like, a working poor form of homelessness. That is, people may have jobs, but it's not providing sufficient income to support a rental accommodation or to support their mortgage. 15% of those that we studied have a job. So in other work that we've done, we've seen around about 70% of homeless men experiencing some sort of employment over the last 5 years.
This free financial counselling service in Perth is now taking between 30 and 40 calls for help every day.
How's it going today? A few calls?
Quite steady actually today.
As families are struggling to cope with things, and any increase at all in cost of living does impact upon their ability to maintain a roof over their heads.
Under the multi-billion-dollar National Homelessness Initiative started by Kevin Rudd, programs targeting rough sleepers have now begun. And in the next 18 months, 20,000 new homes are due to be finished. But only a fraction of the houses have been built so far, and those in charge are pleading for patience.
That's a major commitment from state and federal governments, and it's going to make an enormous difference to the situation of homelessness in Australia.
Have you had some soup and everything?
It can't be done overnight. It's going to require a sustained effort over a long period of time.
For the hundreds of rough sleepers who line up for free food at Bevlo's dinner service in central Perth every week, tangible action couldn't be more urgent.
The people that we help are struggling. The street is a scary place.
And that story was from Australia's boom state, Daniel Parry.